Ever seen a plastic bottle turn into something magical? Here, we don't throw them away. We turn them into butterflies, gardens, fairy homes, and more. Welcome to Archon Aesthetic Studio, where creativity meets sustainability. This video dives into upcycling ideas with plastic bottles. Use the timestamps to jump around, and feel free to comment if you have questions. These visuals are pure inspiration. Take what sparks joy, adapt it, and create something beautiful with what you already have. And if this speaks to you, subscribing helps more than you know. It keeps this dream alive. From my small family to yours, thank you for being here. One, glow-in-the-dark plastic bottle garden edging. As twilight softly brushes the sky with hues of dusk, something begins to stir along the garden path. Not loud, not sudden, but quietly enchanting. Lining the edge of the soil, just where the earth meets the grass, are humble plastic bottles. Once tossed away, now transformed into glowing sentinels of warmth and intention. In the daylight, they are gentle. Soft pastel tones, mint greens, lilacs, dusty rose, sit upside down in a neat line, their bellies pressed into the soil. They cradle small phosphorescent pebbles inside, a delicate fusion of color and texture that reflects a thoughtful hand. It's the kind of DIY project that feels like a quiet meditation. No need for complex tools or elaborate steps, just a bottle, a brush of paint, and a sprinkle of imagination. These pastel pieces serve as a charming daytime edging, defining the space between vegetables and lawn with a friendly, artistic touch. But when night begins to fall, that's when their true magic appears. Under the indigo sky, each bottle softly begins to glow. The stones within emit a subtle luminescence, cool greens and ocean blues pulsing with the memory of sunlight absorbed throughout the day. They don't shine like street lamps. Instead, they hum with a quiet light, guiding the way along the path like whispers from another world. And as dew forms on their weathered plastic surfaces, they shimmer, reflecting starlight like tiny beacons of hope. Even the texture tells a story, scratches from handling, the way the bottlenecks press into the soil, flecks of dirt caught in seams. This isn't polished perfection. It's real. It's tactile. It's something anyone could do in their own backyard, and that's exactly the point. These glow-in-the-dark plastic bottle borders do more than define a path. They define a mindset. One that says sustainability can be gentle. That upcycling doesn't have to be grand to be beautiful. That even in the quiet corners of our gardens, light can rise again, soft, steady, and made with love. Two, bottle Scarecrow for garden pest control. In the soft heartbeat of a home garden, where tiny seedlings push through earth and the air is laced with morning dew, something playful stands guard. It's not your average scarecrow. There's no heavy frame, no hay-stuffed limbs. Instead, it's a light-hearted creation, born from the very things we might have once thrown away. A couple of plastic bottles, a bit of cloth, and a lot of imagination. This is what recycling can look like when it's infused with joy. At the center of the raised garden beds, among kale and lettuce and cheerful pansies, a smiling face greets the sun. Drawn onto the clear curve of a bottle, that face might be a child's, simple and sweet, or perhaps your own. reminding you that this garden is more than soil. It's a story. The arms stretch wide, wrapped in soft flannel, fluttering with bright streamers and glinting foil. These aren't just for show. The gentle movements catch light and breeze alike, soft signals to curious birds or mischievous squirrels that this patch of earth is watched over. And on some mornings, little hands are seen tying knots, trimming edges, laughing as they build alongside their older guides. The process is as magical as the result. A shared ritual of making something together, from nothing more than scrap. Practicality, too, finds a home in this friendly guardian. Plastic bottles offer lightweight structure, resistant to rain, easy to adjust or replace as needed. The ribbons add visual motion that most animals instinctively avoid. It's functional and it's gentle. No harsh materials, no traps. Just intention turned into art. This scarecrow doesn't just protect. It invites. It inspires. It reminds us that gardening isn't just about tending plants. It's about nurturing creativity, repurposing with love, and planting seeds of wonder in our children. So next time you find an empty bottle in your hand, don't toss it. Paint a smile on it. Wrap it in color. Give it a name. And let it guard your garden with quiet pride. Because even in the smallest corners of our backyards, with the simplest materials, we can build beauty that watches over life and brings it to bloom. Three, recycled bottle cap mosaic art. In the quiet rhythm of a backyard afternoon, creativity blossoms not from the soil, but from small forgotten circles of color, bottle caps, once twisted open and tossed aside. Now, they lie patiently in the palms of children, sorted by hue, shape, and potential. These are not just caps. They are pixels of a bigger picture, stories waiting to be assembled. The scene begins with two young creators, seated cross-legged on a sunlit patio. Buckets filled with caps surround them. Reds, greens, blues, some still bearing scratches from their journey. Nearby, glue bottles and drawings lay scattered on the ground like tools in an artist's studio. There is no urgency in their motion, only joy. Joy in selecting the perfect blue, in carefully pressing each cap into place. What begins as a playful sort becomes a mosaic of imagination. Step by step, cap by cap, a sunflower takes shape, bold and golden against a sea of blue sky and drifting clouds. It rises not on canvas, but on a reclaimed wooden board mounted to a weathered fence, catching the eye of anyone who passes. It is not flawless. Some caps are chipped, others faded. But that's what makes it real. That's what makes it human. Each color speaks. The yellows whisper warmth. The greens hum life. The blues breathe calm. Together, they don't just form a flower. They compose a memory. A summer afternoon spent creating something beautiful from what would have been waste. If you're inspired to begin your own mosaic, know this: you don't need much. Just start collecting. Ask friends, neighbors, family to save their caps. Draw a simple design or let the shapes guide you. Mount them with screws, hot glue, or strong craft adhesive on plywood or an old board. Let the imperfections remain. That's part of the charm. This kind of art doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for presence, for intention, for the willingness to see potential in the ordinary. Because in this garden corner, something magical happened. Not just a mural was made, but a connection. Between hands and heart. Between waste and wonder. And maybe the next time you open a bottle, you'll pause, just long enough to imagine what story its cap might still be able to tell. 4. Mini pirate ship floater. In a quiet corner of the garden, where dragonflies skim the water's edge and koi trace their paths like living brushstrokes, a tiny pirate ship sets sail. Its hull, once a plastic bottle discarded without thought, now glides proudly atop the pond's surface, transformed by imagination, touched by small hands, and adorned with makeshift sails that ripple gently with the breeze. Striped cloth flutters under the pirate flag, while tiny cannons and drawn-on portholes give the illusion of a grand voyage ahead. The water cradles it softly, casting reflections of dreams beneath its keel. What makes this craft more than a toy is not just the paint or the cleverness of its structure. It's the story it carries, of creativity sparked not by money, but by intention. A soda bottle became a vessel of play. A garden pond became an ocean of stories. You don't need a blueprint to bring this idea to life. Just look around. A plastic bottle, a skewer for a mast, some paper or cloth, and a moment shared with your child. Each ripple on the water becomes a memory. Each launch from the pond's edge, a small lesson in reinvention. This isn't just recycling, it's storytelling through reuse. It's art that floats. It's childhood captured in sailcloth and splashes. And when the ship drifts to the far end of the pond, carried by wind and whimsy, it reminds us that even the most ordinary materials can carry extraordinary joy, if only we're willing to imagine. 5. Blooming bottle vines. There's a kind of magic that doesn't bloom from soil, but from imagination. In a quiet corner of the backyard, hands move gently, cutting, curling, shaping, turning what once held fizzy drinks into something far more delicate. Blossoms that will never wilt. A woman sits at a glass patio table under a mild afternoon sun. Her fingers steady, her focus soft. Around her, scattered like petals on a breeze, are bottle bottoms and translucent pieces tinted with cheerful hues. Sky blue, daffodil yellow, gentle pinks. With every slice of the scissors and flicker of a lighter's flame, a new petal is born, its edges softening into graceful curves. These are not just crafts. They are expressions of care and patience, shaped one cut at a time. Nearby, the results of this slow and thoughtful work shimmer against a trellis. The flowers are strung with wire vines, winding playfully upward, their plastic surfaces catching the light like stained glass. Some flowers are layered with subtle gradients. Others dance in simple, joyful tones. They do not demand attention, but they hold it, gently, like a whisper in spring. As the light moves, the garden arch reveals its full splendor. Bottle blooms in lavender and buttercup yellow climb skyward, nestled among ivy leaves, both real and handmade. There's harmony here, not just of color, but of intent. It's not about replacing nature, but echoing its beauty with materials the world had discarded. This is a DIY idea that speaks to both heart and hand. It asks nothing more than a few saved bottles, some wire, a bit of paint, and the willingness to look twice at what we usually throw away. The process is simple, and the result, surprising. A child could help cut, a friend could paint, and in the end, a garden could bloom twice, once from the soil, and again from creativity. So next time you hold a bottle, pause. Before it lands in the bin, picture a flower instead. With a little effort, even trash can trail upward in bloom, and your backyard can sing with blossoms that won't fade. 6. Recycled bottle bird bath fountain. In the hush of a sunny morning, the garden wakes with flutter and song. Among leafy greens and whispering flowers, a quiet invention trickles life into the day. A bird bath fountain, born not from a store, but from the tender rhythm of reuse. A simple plastic bottle, once tossed aside, now hangs as a guardian of water. Clear and honest in form, its purpose has changed. Gravity does the work, and nature watches with grace. One by one, the garden's visitors arrive. Tiny yellow-breasted finches, their wings shimmering with sunlight, perch at the rim of a terracotta dish. Water ripples gently from a makeshift fountain, steady, soft, almost musical. Each droplet a small miracle, keeping the bath fresh, keeping the birds here just a little longer. What seems like magic is, in truth, a quiet act of care. A plastic bottle, pierced and flipped, fitted with a hose or tube, lets gravity deliver water in slow, thoughtful drips. A bowl at the base, clay, ceramic, or even another piece of repurposed plastic, catches the flow. A circle of stones holds it steady, forming a sanctuary amid the blooms. This is not just a bird bath. It's a humble ode to balance. Recycled projects like this one teach us something beyond function. They remind us to notice. To notice the joy of watching a bird flutter its wings in water. To notice that sustainability doesn't need to be complex. That beauty can rise from what was forgotten. If you look closely, you might see that the bottle still carries the marks of its past life. Tiny scratches, faint labels, the memory of hands that once held it. And yet, in this new purpose, it becomes something else entirely. A source, a wellspring, a part of the wild. This is upcycling at its most gentle. No expensive tools, no noise. Just a bottle, a dish, and the hands that believe in second chances. So the next time you finish a bottle of water, pause. Think of the garden, the sunlight, the birds, and know that even the simplest things can hold wonder if we let them. Seven. Bottle Dome Nursery. In the golden hush of late afternoon, the gentle clinking of tools blends with birdsong and rustling leaves. A dome begins to rise, not of glass or steel, but of humble plastic bottles. One by one, they are fastened to the arched frame, their translucent skins catching the last rays of sunlight like a scattered prism. This is no ordinary greenhouse. It's a symbol of possibility, built not from brand new materials, but from what was once discarded. A structure born from care, creativity, and the desire to give both plants and plastic a second life. Inside, the world feels still. Trays of young seedlings line wooden shelves, their small green leaves basking in the filtered glow that pours through bottle walls. Moisture clings softly to the inside, forming tiny droplets, evidence of a thriving microclimate. A watering can rests quietly beside a worn pair of gloves, the tools of a gardener who works with intention, not haste. The build is deceptively simple. Wire mesh or netting stretched across a geodesic frame gives the bottles something to hold on to. Their curved shapes interlock naturally, offering insulation and structure while letting sunlight warm the seedlings within. You don't need perfection. You need patience. You need purpose. And for those who wonder, yes, this is possible. You don't need a large garden, just a patch of green and the will to transform waste into wonder. Gather your bottles, save your seeds, and dream of your own nursery. It may begin with plastic and wire, but what it grows is much more. Let this project be your quiet revolution, one where your hands and heart work together to build something that gives back to the earth, gently. Eight, DIY recycled bottle bird feeder. Imagine a morning softened by birdsong, delicate chirps carried through the branches, gentle wings fluttering in the breeze. Beneath a wooden pergola, bottles once discarded now hang with quiet dignity, repurposed into feeders glowing in hues of green, red, and clear simplicity. Suspended by humble wire and filled with scattered seed, these feeders invite feathered visitors with open hearts. Each fluttering guest a whisper of life, reminding us how beauty often comes from acts of care. The design is effortless, yet charming. Old bottles are cleaned, holes carefully cut for feeding ports, and perches crafted from wooden spoons or slender twigs. Seed flows with gravity's grace. What once carried soda now offers sustenance, showing children and adults alike the joy of hands-on sustainability. One feeder, looped gently with jute string, sways beneath a tree branch. A small finch, curious, brave, perches to peck at its breakfast. The scene is quiet, soaked in dappled sunlight, surrounded by soft green and golden morning glow. These feeders don't just serve birds. They nourish something in us too, a sense of stewardship, a reminder that giving doesn't always require much, only intention. And for those seeking a project to do with little ones, this is a perfect place to start. It teaches patience, offers a tactile way to learn about ecosystems, and plants seeds of mindfulness that bloom well beyond the backyard. Upcycling like this isn't only about reducing waste. It's about reconnecting with nature, with stillness, with imagination. And with each bird that visits, a small story unfolds of care, of creativity, and of hope stitched together in plastic, seed, and song. Nine, Glow Cap Lampshade. As twilight folds its arms around the day, there's a soft hush that settles over the garden. The birds retreat into shadowed trees, the breeze stills, and somewhere, a quiet flicker begins to glow. Above a simple wooden table, a constellation of warm light descends, not from ornate glass or designer fittings, but from humble plastic bottles reborn as glowing lanterns. These lamps, their bell-shaped forms once cradling everyday drinks, now catch the evening air and scatter golden light like fireflies caught in stillness. Each one is different, some frosted by time, others speckled with rain from the day's gentle showers. But together, they whisper a shared story of transformation. This isn't just about decor, it's about presence. The beauty of upcycling lies not only in its creativity but in its consciousness. It reminds us that even in the throwaway, there is potential. These bottle bottoms, often destined for landfills, now hold gentle luminance that makes dinner under the stars feel like a cherished ritual. Look closer, and you'll see the simplest materials at play. A carefully cut bottle, a soft lead bulb, ideally solar-powered, a wire to suspend, and a bit of care. There's no complex wiring needed, just intent and a little time. These upcycled glow caps serve more than ambience. They evoke something deeply human, a desire to tread lightly, to live beautifully without extravagance, to craft with our hands, and in doing so, slow down, You can do this too. Start with any clear bottle. Cut it cleanly near the base. Smooth the edges gently with sandpaper or heat. Fit a bulb snugly within and suspend it from a branch, a pergola, or even your balcony rail. Let it charge during the day if it's solar, and come evening, watch your small effort light up not just your garden, but your heart. And here's the thing, when guests sit beneath these bottle lights, they won't ask, "Is that recycled?" They'll ask, "Where did you get that?" And you'll smile, knowing the answer is far more beautiful than any store could offer. So let your evenings glow, not from consumption, but from creation. Not with harsh brightness, but with soft, recycled wonder. Rounded bottle garden edging. In the soft hush of early morning, before the day stretches open its arms, a quiet garden breathes, not only with the life of leaves and petals, but with something gentler, more enduring, purpose. Along the edge of this lovingly tended plot, a line of clear plastic bottles stands like tiny glass domes, catching sunlight on their rounded shoulders. Once discarded, now dignified, they form a humble border between the order of cultivated soil and the wild whisper of grass beyond. These are no ordinary garden edges. They are stories retold, each bottle a former life repurposed, now protecting roots and framing beauty. Look closely, and you'll see the signs of their journey. Gentle scratches, specks of soil, perhaps a petal clinging to the side. They don't try to look new. They are real, weathered, useful, grounded. Creating your own edging like this doesn't take much more than intention. Invert the bottles, tuck them into the earth, and if you wish for extra stability, fill them with sand or soil. The repetition of curves creates a rhythmic pattern, a kind of visual heartbeat that runs alongside your plants. As light dances across their surfaces, these bottles catch the day in glints and gleams, reminding you that even waste can shine again. In a world of fast forgetting, there is something beautiful about remembering, about making things last. These bottles, once forgotten in a bin, now mark the place where marigolds bloom and mint stretches toward the sun. They are part of something quiet and slow, something kind. So next time you step into your garden, imagine what might grow not only from seeds, but from second chances. With your own hands, a shovel, and a handful of old bottles, you can draw a line that gently says, "Here is a place I care for, and nothing here is wasted." Candy pop bottle pedestal planters. In a quiet corner of the garden, where sunbeams spill like honey across the wood, something delightful is blooming, not just in petals, but in purpose. Here, bright pedestal planters, cheerfully speckled with polka dots, stand proudly on the deck, each one a testament to the beauty of second chances. Look closely, and you'll see their humble origins. Plastic soda bottles once destined for landfills, now reborn as vivid vessels of life. Children's laughter echoes softly in the background. One young gardener, barefoot and curious, gently tucks a leafy sprout into its new home. His hands, still clumsy but full of care, grasp a bottle painted sunshine yellow, polka-dotted and playful. It's more than a craft, it's a conversation with nature, a small act of love whispered into the soil. These planters are made from two halves of plastic bottles, Cut, flipped, glued together. A dash of acrylic paint, a sprinkle of imagination, and suddenly they aren't waste anymore. They're whimsical goblets overflowing with moss roses, portulaca blooms, or even your favorite herbs. And here's the lovely thing: no perfection is required. The paint might smudge, the bottles might be scratched, but when the morning light touches them just right, they sparkle with soul. Want to make your own? Begin with what you already have: a bottle, a brush, and a bit of free time. Choose colors that make your heart smile. Cut safely and shape with care. Let your hands be led more by joy than precision. These planters are perfect for small balconies, sunny kitchen windows, or anywhere a splash of brightness is needed. They're lightweight, waterproof, and easy to move with the seasons. Most importantly, they're a daily reminder that beauty doesn't have to cost the earth. It can start with something as simple as yesterday's empty bottle. So this summer, let your garden bloom not just with flowers, but with stories of play, reuse, and quiet acts of creativity. Because when we plant with love and paint with laughter, we grow more than gardens. We grow hope. Tiered circular bottle planter. In the quiet corner of a garden where sunlight falls like a whisper, something truly magical has taken root. Not in expensive pots or polished beds, but in a choir of humble plastic bottles, painted bright as summer itself. Here, in brilliant orange, old bottles have been reborn, not discarded, but honored. They stand upright, like guardians of green life, arranged tier by tier into a circular tower of bloom. Blue caps peeking outward give rhythm to the pattern, while the soil hidden within cradles soft pink vinca and wild moss roses, spilling over like laughter. As you walk around it, each layer speaks. The bottom, strong and grounded. The middle, abundant and hopeful. The top, playful and reaching toward the sun. This isn't just a planter. It's a message that growth doesn't need to begin perfect. It needs only intention and love. And how simple it is to begin. With collected bottles, a bit of paint, and your own touch of care, you too can shape a living sculpture in your space. Start with a single circle. Anchor the bottles tightly, caps outward. Fill the heart of the ring with earth, rich, dark, and ready. Then, plant something small. Something that will smile up at the sky. Let it grow. Let it teach you. There is beauty in the circular, just like time, just like healing, just like the way nature forgives our waste when we choose to give it back with kindness. And perhaps, as the flowers bloom and bees come humming around your creation, you'll feel it too, that sense of quiet joy, knowing you've turned something forgotten into something deeply alive. Because this garden, isn't just a feast for the eyes. It's a promise that even in the smallest acts, we can shape a world that blooms again. Smart Bottle Sprinkler System. In a quiet garden where the soil breathes life and green rows ripple like waves in still air, an unexpected hero stands, not in the form of a shiny new tool, but a clear plastic bottle reborn. Once discarded, forgotten on a park bench or tossed into a bin without thought, this humble bottle now sings with water. Punctured gently with fine holes and fastened at the base to a garden hose, it sprays not waste, but grace, a fine, even mist that arcs through sunlight like falling stars. Each droplet finds its way to the roots of leafy greens. Lettuce, bok choy, kale, nourishing without drowning, conserving without compromise. The rhythm is gentle, kind. Nature meets intention. Plastic finds a second voice, no longer pollutant but provider. And here's the beauty. This simple irrigation system can be made by anyone, with nothing more than a clean bottle, a pin, and a little care. Place several along your garden rows, bury them slightly for balance, and let the water pressure work its quiet magic. It's sustainable gardening with soul, no electricity, no complicated parts, just the poetry of reuse. The garden glistens not with extravagance, but with thoughtfulness. It is a reminder that even the things we throw away can be invited back. Useful, beautiful, essential. Let every sprinkle be a whisper of restoration. A quiet promise that we can grow more, waste less, and still find joy in the simplest inventions made by our own hands. (14) Bottle fountain sprayer. Sometimes, the softest sounds carry the deepest meaning. In the hush of a garden, away from hurried streets and clattering lives, a plastic bottle arcs water into a pond like a quiet symphony of renewal. Its story did not end in a recycling bin or landfill. It began anew, transformed by curious hands, a humble garden hose, and the simple wish to create beauty. In the first image, a delicate stream curves from a tilted bottle into a koi pond below. It's not a grand fountain, but that's its quiet charm. Nestled among stones and shaded by whispering leaves, this bottle fountain gently aerates the water, keeping it alive, rippling, fresh. Gold and white fish glide beneath, unbothered, perhaps soothed by the gentle rain. Zoom in, and you'll find the truth of this transformation. A close-up shows how a simple drilled hole and some pressure become magic. The water escapes in dancing threads. Light catches each droplet like tiny stars falling in slow motion. Imperfect plastic, scuffed, dented, familiar, becomes a medium for motion and sparkle. The garden doesn't need perfection. It only asks for intention. Then, a wider scene. Multiple bottles stand at pond's edge like quiet guardians, each sending its arc into the water's heart. They don't shout for attention. They whisper purpose, cooling the pond, stirring the surface, offering movement where stillness once sat too long. It's functional. It's meditative. And most of all, it's accessible. Here's a thought to carry into your day. What if every disposable object you've ever tossed could speak? Would it ask for one more purpose? One last gift? In the garden, even the smallest bottle can become a bearer of peace. You don't need a workshop or expensive tools. Just a nail, some string, maybe a hose clamp, and the gentle belief that reuse is an art form. This DIY fountain isn't just about saving plastic. It's about making your garden your own personal refuge, where waste finds its worth and water, once again, sings. (15) Bottle nipple watering system for layer hens. In a quiet corner of the coop, where sunlight drips through wooden slats and the air hums with the soft clucking of hens, a simple act of care unfolds. There, a pair of hands, steady and gloved, guides the tip of a drill through a humble plastic bottle, once a vessel for refreshment, now reborn with purpose. This is not just crafting. This is intention made visible. A plastic bottle, inverted and hung with wire like a lantern of sustenance, becomes a source of life. At its base, a tiny nipple drinker offers droplets of water, clean, calm, and constant. It waits for the gentle tap of a beak, the curiosity of a hen, the rhythm of daily routine. And when that moment arrives, it is almost poetic. One droplet, captured mid-air, glinting like morning dew as a hen drinks deeply, trusting and content. Across the coop wall, more bottles stand in a quiet row, each one filled, each one ready. Their transparency holds a promise, reflecting the simplicity of a system born from resourcefulness. With each recycled bottle, a step closer is taken to sustainability, to harmony, to the kind of stewardship that whispers instead of shouts. This is a project that requires no grand tools, only a bottle, a drinking nipple, and the will to give something old a new story. It's practical, yes, but also deeply hopeful. Because when you make something with your hands that serves another life, whether feathered, leafy, or rooted, you're building more than just a solution. You're building care into the world. So next time you hold an empty bottle, pause. Consider where it might go, what it might become, and who it might nourish in the quiet spaces of your backyard. (16) Eco Bottle Concrete Post Anchor. In a quiet corner of a garden, where the soil still remembers last season's harvest, something beautiful begins, not with new lumber or store-bought tools, but with a soft intention and a handful of empty bottles once destined for the landfill. We begin with the hum of effort and the scrape of earth. The post stands tall, its base cupped inside a repurposed plastic bottle now filled with fresh, wet concrete. A steady hand keeps it level as the cement is poured, thick, gray, and slowly settling into permanence. These bottles, once fleeting containers of convenience, now serve a new role, grounding structure, holding firm. This method is more than a construction hack. It is a gesture of harmony. Instead of discarding, we transform. Rather than waste, we build. Each bottle, half buried like an artifact of transformation, provides structural stability for garden fences, vine trellises, or even light arbors. The shape of the bottle molds the base into a weather-resistant anchor, reducing erosion and keeping wood away from direct soil contact. Days pass, and the concrete cures in the sun. The plastic grows opaque, holding history in its walls, the swirl of mixed sand, the fingerprints of labor. And when it's time, the bottles may be cut away or left in place, shielded by soil and time, a quiet support for whatever grows above. This is the heart of sustainable creativity. Using what we have, respecting what we discard, and anchoring our efforts with patience and care. If you'd like to try this yourself, it's as easy as a bucket of concrete, a few bottles, and intention. Cut the bottles at the neck, place your posts, and pour slowly. Align with the spirit level, and let nature do the rest. It's a gentle craft, not perfect, but deeply grounding. And perhaps, as you press the post into place and feel the bottle wrap around it like a glove made of second chances, you'll pause and realize that building something strong doesn't always mean starting from scratch. Sometimes, it starts with something you saved. (17) Polka Dot Hanging Bottle Tower. In the hush of an early morning balcony, where the city hums gently beneath the breeze, a curious little forest dangles in midair. At first glance, it seems like a dance of polka-dotted lanterns swaying in rhythm with the wind. But look closer, and you'll see life unfolding in the smallest of homes. A vertical tower of upcycled bottles, reborn as cradles for green dreams. Each red bottle, dressed in cheerful white dots, is suspended with humble twine, its belly filled with the rich curl of spider plants and tender herbs. The arrangement climbs upward like a child's paper chain, not merely decoration, but nourishment for the soul. Hanging from bamboo rings or wooden rails, these bottles seem to whisper secrets to each other in leafy rustles and gentle creaks. Sunlight glimmers across their glossy surfaces, accentuating the brushstrokes that tell a quiet story of hand-painted love, imperfect, deliberate, and utterly alive. A single glance transports you to memories of playful crafting, sticky fingers dipped in paint, the laughter of trying something new. This isn't just gardening. This is storytelling through shape and soil. This is rebellion against waste and homage to renewal. And perhaps the most beautiful part? You can do this too. With a pair of scissors, an old soda bottle, a dab of paint, and a length of twine, you can build your own skyward garden on a balcony, a patio corner, or a sunny indoor nook. Fill each pot with herbs, trailing vines, or low-maintenance greens like the ever-resilient spider plant. Water gently, smile often. Let it remind you that even small spaces can hold abundant life. That even a plastic bottle can bloom again in the care of gentle hands. And that beauty, sometimes, is found not in what we throw away, but in what we choose to lift up, colorfully and consciously. Upside-down hanging herb garden. In a quiet corner of the city, where concrete walls often outnumber trees, a soft revolution begins. One bottle, one seedling, one drop of water at a time. From a humble balcony railing or beneath the rafters of a garden pergola, clear plastic bottles dangle upside down like crystal chandeliers, each repurposed into a cradle for life. They sway gently in the breeze, transformed by care and creativity into vessels of green hope. Inside, mint, basil, parsley, oregano, all reaching out with soft leaves, eager to meet the sun. These aren't store-bought planters. They are relics of yesterday's thirst, soda bottles and water jugs that might have once ended their journey in a landfill, now reborn with soil and seed. At the neck of each bottle, a sponge or cloth nestles snugly, acting as a quiet guardian of moisture, releasing drops at a patient pace. The roots, free to breathe and stretch, twirl downward like dancers suspended in rhythm with the earth. And here, amid this vertical garden, tools rest nearby, green scissors, a watering can etched with handwritten words, perhaps left after a moment of quiet tending. These tools are not just for plants, but for peace of mind, for slowing down in a world that rushes. This is more than a project. It's a ritual of resilience, a reminder that space does not define the scale of our dreams. Even the smallest ledge, kissed by light, can become a stage for abundance. Want to try it yourself? You don't need perfection, just curiosity and care. A knife to cut the bottle, string or wire to hang it, cloth to wick the water, and most of all, seeds that carry stories of nourishment and growth. Label each bottle with a chalk-marked name, and as they grow, you'll come to know them not just as herbs, but as companions to your daily life. Let your hands get earthy. Let your balcony become your canvas. And with each growing herb, may you find not just freshness for your plate, but calm for your spirit. Because every drop counts, every plant teaches, and every reused bottle is a quiet promise to the planet that we can do better, with beauty, with intention, and with heart. Whimsical bottle insect decor. In a quiet corner of a garden where marigolds bloom like tiny suns and time slows to the rhythm of the breeze, a child kneels near a flowerbed. Their hand, small yet full of intent, places a delicate blue dragonfly gently into the earth. It glimmers in the morning light, its wings crafted from the clear curve of a plastic bottle, now reborn as something whimsical, something joyful. These are no ordinary creatures. They do not flutter or buzz, but they tell a story, one of transformation and imagination. Bottlenecks become slender bodies. Beads and caps evolve into curious eyes. With a bit of heat and a twist of wire, once discarded plastic finds new purpose as art that brightens the garden and lifts the soul. On a sun-warmed wooden fence nearby, more dragonflies and butterflies have gathered. Painted in hues of crimson, sapphire, and gold, their translucent wings catch the afternoon light like stained glass. They are still, yet alive in spirit, gentle reminders that waste can be wonder, and that creativity often begins with the simplest of things. High above, nestled in a tree branch, a purple butterfly rests, its wings cut from a soda bottle's gentle curve, hand-painted with care. Look closer and you'll see the slight marks of scissors, the tender brushstrokes of a child's weekend project or a quiet afternoon spent with nature and glue. What makes this craft truly beautiful is not just its color or form, but the message it carries. That joy doesn't have to be bought, and sustainability can be playful, poetic, and profoundly personal. Want to make your own? Start by collecting bottles of different shapes. Those curves and ridges will bring personality to your bugs. Soften them gently with warm water or heat to bend wings just right. Use non-toxic paints, wire for antennae or legs, and glue that can withstand a bit of sunshine. You don't need perfection. What you need is heart, and perhaps a few curious hands to help. And then, place them in your garden, on your fence, or hanging from a tree. Let them be guardians of your flowers, storytellers for your guests, and colorful sparks of reuse in a world that desperately needs more of it. Because in every bottle waiting to be thrown away, there might just be a dragonfly dreaming to be born. Bottle stepping bricks path. Sometimes, the path to sustainability begins quite literally beneath our feet. In the soft warmth of a garden afternoon, where the air smells faintly of earth and fresh blooms, hands covered in cement bring purpose to discarded plastic. What once held soda or water now embraces a second life, transformed into solid stepping stones, lining a curved trail through a blooming backyard. The sound of a trowel scrapes gently against the edge of a bucket. No rush, just the slow rhythm of creation. With each bottle filled, the shape of the path begins to emerge like a story unfolding across the soil, tactile, sturdy, and surprisingly elegant. Even their bottoms, still visible through the transparent shell, resemble floral motifs when viewed from above. It's as if the garden itself had drawn its own map. This DIY project isn't just functional, it's symbolic. It says that beauty doesn't always come from new things. Sometimes, it's built from what we choose to keep and reimagine. A faded plastic surface, a hint of a label, a dent here and there, they all add character. They are quiet testaments to a shift in mindset. Practical tip: if you'd like to try this at home, rinse the bottles well, fill them with a smooth cement mix, and let them cure fully before embedding them. Use a slight downward pressure to set each into the soil. They'll hold well, and you might even get creative with patterns or painted tops before they dry. And when you walk that path the next morning, dew still glistening on the blades of grass, you'll feel it, not just beneath your feet, but within. That small joy of having created something meaningful. A gentle reminder that even the simplest acts, when done with care, can leave a lasting imprint on both land and life. (21) Hydroponic Bottle Grow Cups. In the quiet rhythm of morning light, a hand reaches into the rows of young life, lifting a vessel not made by nature, but reshaped in harmony with it. Once a discarded bottle, now reborn as a cradle of life. Its clear walls shimmer with droplets, magnifying the roots of a thriving pak choi, floating freely in nutrient-rich water. No soil, no fuss, just patience, care, and the quiet miracle of hydroponics. This is not a futuristic lab. This is a backyard, a balcony, a small shaded corner kissed by sunlight and possibility. Each bottle top, gently cut and lowered into a line of PVC pipes, becomes a miniature greenhouse. The next dip just far enough into the stream below, sipping minerals like a whisper from Earth's own breath. The plants stretch upward while their roots drift below, swaying softly in a hidden current. Hydroponics may sound complex, but look again. There's beauty in its simplicity, and it starts with what we usually throw away. That clear plastic bottle you drank from yesterday? In a few snips and thoughtful placement, it could become tomorrow's lettuce, mint, or pak choi. To begin, all you need is water, a clean bottle, and a bit of curiosity. Add a dash of sunlight and love, and the rest grows quietly on its own. And perhaps most inspiring of all, this isn't just about food. It's about restoring value to what was once deemed worthless. About growing nourishment from waste. About showing children, neighbors, even yourself, that sustainability doesn't have to be loud. It can be soft, gentle, peaceful. So whether you're working with a balcony in the city or a patch of space behind your home, this DIY hydroponic system can be your small act of care for the planet and for yourself. Because when plastic stops being trash and starts being a garden, we begin to change not just the world, but the way we see it. (22) Modular Bottle Square Pot. In a quiet corner of the garden, where the sun filters softly through the leaves and the breeze carries the scent of marigolds, something unexpected has bloomed, not just the flowers, but the vessel that holds them. Crafted not from ceramic or stone, but from time itself, dozens of humble plastic bottles, once discarded, now reborn into purpose. They stand shoulder to shoulder, their forms gently hugging one another within a square of sturdy wire mesh. Each curve, each crinkle, tells a story of soda sipped under summer skies, of water bottles carried on long walks. And now, unified, they cradle life once more. The modular pot is not just a container, it is a statement. It says, beauty can begin again. And it invites your hands to create, not just consume. You don't need a workshop, only a table in the sun. A few plastic bottles, some scissors, strong tape or wire, and soil. Slice and nestle the bottles together, forming a grid that locks them in strength. Layer them tight, fill their hollow with rich earth, and plant something bright. A burst of color against a backdrop of second chances. If you listen closely, you'll hear the rustle of a snail making its way across the bottles. Even nature seems to pause and admire the transformation. What once cluttered the world now helps it grow. And in that transformation lies a small, quiet revolution. One that you, too, can begin right where you are. Let your creativity bloom, bottle by bottle. "23 Fairy Mushroom Bottle Houses." Beneath the leafy shade of a backyard corner, where sunlight trickles through the branches like golden lace, imagination finds a home. Here, nestled among mossy tufts and wild blossoms, stand tiny mushroom houses, each born not from a forest floor, but from a second life granted to humble plastic bottles. With their cheerful caps of red, blue, and green, dappled in white spots like storybook toadstools, these hand-painted bottle homes transform a garden into a world where gnomes might tiptoe at dusk and butterflies pause as if to listen. A small child crouches nearby, his eyes wide with curiosity, finger pointing in delight. Around him, the fairy village comes to life. Little doors painted on curves of reused plastic, whimsical windows trimmed with love and tiny stories. A wooden signpost stands wonkily beside the largest house, carved with playful nonsense letters, as if pointing the way to another realm. The charm is unmistakable, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. Crafted by hand, touched by time, and filled with wonder. This DIY fairy garden idea is not just delightful for the young. It is a gentle reminder that magic doesn't come from buying more. It comes from seeing beauty where others see waste. Recycled bottles, painted with patience and imagination, become homes not only for imaginary folk, but for a growing connection between people and the natural world. To create your own, all you need is a bottle, some acrylic paint, a bit of patience, and the willingness to let go of perfection. The caps become whimsical roofs. The sides, curved canvases for doors, windows, even climbing vines if your brush dares. Add moss, stones, or tiny fairy figurines to build an enchanting little sanctuary in your garden or balcony. What makes this project deeply special is how it invites storytelling. Every house can have a name. Every mushroom cap a tale. As twilight falls and string lights begin to twinkle, you might just believe, for a fleeting moment, that something magical lives here. "24 Rainbow Wall Planter Bottles." In a quiet garden corner kissed by morning sun, laughter trickles through the air, light, unburdened, and full of wonder. Two children, cheeks rosy from play, tip small watering cans into colorful bottles blooming from the wall like a cheerful rainbow. Each upturned plastic bottle has been reborn. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. A spectrum of second chances, now cradling sprigs of mint, trails of oregano, baby spinach leaves fresh with dew. These little gardens, once mere containers of soda and water, now burst with life. They are stitched gently to the wall with humble string, yet the effect is grand. an entire vertical orchard born from what might have been waste. And that, perhaps, is the quiet miracle here. One doesn't need acres to garden, nor expensive materials to grow joy. A single bottle, rinsed and cut, becomes a cradle for new beginnings. With a splash of paint and a few dots, some red like berries, others white like clouds, even the smallest hands can transform the ordinary into something utterly delightful. In another part of the garden, a closer look reveals a horizontal yellow bottle, tied lovingly to a wooden rail. Small shoots rise from it like emerald flames. The bottle is not perfect. It bears scratches, signs of use, little flecks of paint where tiny hands have tested their skills. But it is beautiful, not in spite of these marks, but because of them. You can almost hear the whisper of the soil as it nurtures roots in recycled shelter. This is not just gardening, it's storytelling with plants and plastic, a tender defiance of throwaway culture. And when seen from a distance, the full wall becomes a celebration, a living canvas, a rainbow born not of weather, but of intention, of creativity, care, and a playful spirit that says, we can do this right here with what we already have. So, if you're wondering whether you too can start, know that the only tools you truly need are your hands, a little time, and a heart open to the joy of making. Because in the act of upcycling, we don't just give new life to bottles, we give new meaning to the way we live. '25. Inverted Bottle Herb Garden. In the quiet corners of an urban balcony, where space is precious and the sun filters gently through metal railings, something wonderful begins to grow. Not from shiny pots or store-bought containers, but from what many would toss away. A plastic bottle once filled with drink, now repurposed as a cradle for life. Hung upside down with care, each bottle becomes a pocket of possibility. Inside them, parsley leans toward the morning light, oregano flourishes in tiny forests, and mint spills out like a green waterfall, kissed with dew. This isn't just gardening, it's storytelling in soil and sunlight. A row of humble vessels, aligned with purpose, proves that beauty doesn't need perfection, just a little intention and reuse. Look closely and you'll find labels written by hand, a tender reminder that every herb is chosen and cared for. A slow drip system, improvised from wire and patience, ensures each plant is watered, not by waste, but by wisdom. In another corner, a single bottle dangles, cradling mint that sways in the breeze. The condensation on the plastic glistens like tiny stars, a soft testimony of life happening in the smallest of places. And beneath it all, a wooden crate with garden gloves rests quietly. No fancy tools, just the basics: earth, bottle, and heart. This is the kind of garden anyone can grow. No large plots, no expensive tools. Just a balcony, a few recycled bottles, and the will to nurture life from what's already in your hands. If you've ever doubted the beauty you could create in a small space, look again. A vertical herb garden like this doesn't just feed the body, it nourishes the soul. So start saving those bottles. Let your windows and balconies bloom with basil and thyme. Let the wind carry the scent of coriander across the city. Let sustainability live not just as an idea, but as something you can touch, taste, and tend to every morning. Because this is more than a garden. It's a quiet revolution, rooted in love and built upside down. If this video meant something to you, Please know that subscribing means the world to me. You're not just supporting content. You're supporting a dream that keeps my family going. Thank you, truly. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you enjoy the most? Is there anything I could do better to keep inspiring or simply entertaining you? Your feedback helps this channel grow with heart and purpose. Let me know in the comments. I read every one.